Friday, May 24th next, ladies and gentlemen, is polling day for the local and European elections, and also the divorce referendum will be held on the same day. Here on Shannon's Side Northern Sound, we'll be bringing you extensive coverage on the campaigns and also on the referendum. And here on the Joe Finnegan Show, we'll be focusing on the European elections and more specifically on the Midlands-North-West constituency, which covers 13 counties from Donegal all the way down to Kildare. 17 candidates have declared, and we have extended invitations to all of them to come and talk to us here at our studios. Today, it's the turn of independent candidate James Miller. And good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Joe, and to all your listeners.
And thank you indeed for coming in to us. Living in Kilbeg and originally from Laois, and when I was reading all about you last night, I said to myself, there'll be a lot of friends and relations in the home county now who will not be able to vote for you.
They'll be grateful that they won't have to not vote for me.
Because, of course, Laois has gone to the Munster constituency. Yes. I suppose the obvious question, the first question that I'm asking all the candidates, why are you running, James?
Out of compunction for our children and for our grandchildren. I mean, I believe that we have to have a new vision for this nation, and we have to provide new solutions that are Irish solutions to our problems, instead of waiting for multinationals and corporations from all across the world to tell us how to live.
Right, now,
and they are telling us how to live, by the way, in a big way.
Right, but in your case, to be fair, you've come up with some solutions. Talk to me a little bit about your work in the area of community banking. Tell me about that.
Well, the simplest way of putting that, I mean, we can go around this in a lot of ways, and I would take an hour to go through all of the details. But fundamentally, the banking industry costs everybody 40% of what we buy. Everything we buy, 40% of it goes to the banking industry. Now, in simple terms, who gets the 40%? In a community banking model, we get the 40% and we recycle it. It's like the turbo in the motor car, it recycles. And in the commercial banking model, it's a hole in the diesel tank and it's being bled off all the time, and that's the simplest way. And you can say 40%, and that's 40% of your net income. That's what you spend. The tax is gone out of it. So in terms of your gross income, it's closer to 75 or 80%.
But do we not already have one of the finest community, if I can use the word, banking structures on the planet, i.e. the credit unions?
The credit unions are wonderful institutions, but they will not survive. They cannot survive because Brussels won't allow them to survive. And I know that from speaking with consultants from Germany.
Well, Brussels is doing now what we should have done in this country 30 years ago, and putting strict and tight regulations in place so that these banking lending institutions can never ever again misbehave.
Joe, please grow. I mean, we have today in the Financial Services Centre, I just read Patrick Honohan's piece from 2013, and it's a great read, but it's utterly irrelevant. It's all about stuff that has no relevance to the shopkeeper in Edwardstown or Moat or Carndonagh that's being shut down for commercial rates. There's 132 billion of services recorded in Ireland's GDP that contributes zilch, absolutely zilch, to the gross national income. 132 billion. And you're telling me that there's regulations put in place?
Right.
They're screwing the credit unions out of business.
Right. So is it that the regulation is too tight, too strict, or is there need for...
It's irrelevant.
How do you mean it's irrelevant?
Because we have to make the system work for us. And the credit unions, with a loan book of about 5 billion, the household loan book is approximately 150 billion. In the German model, 70% of the banking industry is owned by the public, and thereby there's no bleed off the system. And they have over 1 trillion. The Sparkisons alone have more than 1 trillion in deposits. Deutsche Bank and Commerzbank have 12% of the market, and the Germans don't allow them to have any more. And I mean, the codology that goes on is unreal. I mean, I challenge every government minister and TD for the last 25 years to explain to the country why and how Deptford Bank got away with what they did. And who was Deptford Bank? Do you know?
No. Before we go any further, be very careful, because the last thing I want is a letter from whoever this banking institution is.
You needn't worry. They were bailed out for 102 billion by the Germans.
Yeah. Sure, we bailed out banks as well.
Wait, now, hold on a second. What was the biggest bank in Ireland in 2007?
Well, I would have thought it was either Bank of Ireland or AIB.
No, it was Deptford Bank.
Right.
Deptford Bank was the biggest. It was a fully registered Irish bank. And but for the fact that Hypo bought them out in 2007, we were stung for another 102 billion. But nobody in official Ireland will tell you that.
Do you believe, though, and I mean, what you're saying is all very relevant, because when it comes to banking in this country, people will tell you it's almost impossible now to get a mortgage. The question is, are banks lending at all? Small businesses will tell you they can't access credit, therefore they're going out of business. Even families who always once upon a time had a small overdraft with their account, never once did they misbehave with that overdraft. Overnight, the overdraft, along with other loans, is being sold. Now someone else has come in and taken over, and before you know it, the overdraft is taken away from you. But I sense your message, your agenda, I wonder, is it still at the top of people's agendas? People listening this morning, well, they just put the dark memories of the crash.
What? No, hold on. The dark memories. I was at a meeting in Roscommon almost 2 years ago. Organised by Michael Fitzmaurice and a few others, and it was about this Agenda 2040 that the government were about to announce. And somebody stood up and said there were 700 people a day leaving Roscommon every morning for Dublin at 5 o'clock.
Yeah,
this is codology. I mean, this is insanity beyond insanity. This is not a life. Leaving their kids out at 5 o'clock in the morning to a minder to go to Dublin, to be on the M50 by 7 o'clock, to be home by 8 o'clock and go to bed and get up again.
And it's terrible, but what can be done? Tell me.
I'm telling you, we require a comprehensive public banking model across Ireland that will take in time approximately 70% of that household debt of 150 billion. That's for starters. And there's another 350 billion of private sector debt that we almost know nothing about. And on top of that, there's another 2 trillion of Irish debt that makes Ireland the biggest debt owner in the world, practically.
And this, you believe, will ultimately lead to more job creation locally, more business startups in rural areas?
Because the German Sparkassens, we brought the German banking SBFIC here back in 2014. The Public Banking Forum did. And they drummed it into us that small is beautiful in Germany. And they insist on the public banking model, the Sparkassens. They are the backbone of Germany.
Yeah.
We have gone down this road in Ireland of bigger is bigger and better all the time, and it has absolutely failed every small enterprise.
So the current model has failed. Small enterprises, small businesses, especially in rural Ireland and the regions, as we know, suffering.
And in Dublin as well. I mean, Dunn Stores are taking out a chain in Dublin this morning. Every town you go into now is owned by a chain of something or other. Am I wrong?
Yeah, but true. But at the end of the day, albeit in a minor way compared to the figures that you just talked about, government are pumping huge sums of money.
This is statism.
Yeah.
This is statism.
No. But I mean, I just want to put this question to you. Yeah. Pumping huge sums of money into rural Ireland because they're under pressure from people who live in the area and from politicians and from people like you. You've lost interest in rural areas and, rural Ireland is in decline. But on the same hand, when the government says, well, take, for example, our post office network, they send out a simple message, use it or lose it. And sure, people aren't using it.
But it's statism. What the government have done with the post office is they've provided the commercial banks with access to the public through a national service. And the banks run off with the profit, 2.6 billion this year, tax-free for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
But we get no benefit. The commercial banks get the benefit. The post offices provide the front of house services, as are the credit unions, servicing the public on all of the small issues. The banks don't want to deal with that. I just want a guy who wants 2 million or 5 million, and it's easy manage that. They don't want to deal with the public. And I mean, I was talking to somebody the other day. I mean, there's a new grant system out for farmers, but your minimum now that you have to take is 50,000. I was talking to a farmer the other day. I want 15,000 to do something, but I can't get it because it doesn't qualify. I'm not borrowing enough. This is all statism. Whereas a properly mentored local credit system, proper credit system, can cater for all this, and instead of the state putting in this mechanism and that mechanism, that should function as a business enterprise in the community, working for the community as a public banking model, right, the way the German Sparkassens do.
All right, you've got your point across there. BRUI, Business Retail Union of Ireland. You are a member of that organisation.
Yes, I am.
And it is, I read this on your website last night, as and from the first week of May.
Yes.
You want the people of Ireland, PAYE workers, to stop, on a gradual basis now, to stop paying their income tax.
Income tax is voluntary.
But why?
Income tax is voluntary.
Why do you want us to stop paying our income tax?
Because
sounds great, by the way.
We are being fooled up to the eyebrows. The IFSC is an enormous codology. The TWZ report of June 2018 announced in detail how Ireland was handling one of the biggest handlers of shifted profits in the world to the tune of 105 billion to no benefit of the Irish people. None. Not one solitary cent. 105 billion. Now, 2% of that would build a hospital every year. We'd have one in every village after a while. Yeah. There's 132 billion. If you compare the gross domestic product figure for Ireland, it's 300 billion.
Right, but
and our gross national income figure, that's the GDP is the leprechaun figure.
Okay, if we respond to your call, the BRUI call, Business Retail Union of Ireland, and if we stop paying our income tax, what do you hope to achieve by doing that?
We will force official Ireland to wake up and bring in some element of fair play.
And what about and what about the people who rely on funding from the taxpayer, the different groups, organisations, services, hospitals, what have you? They'll all collapse.
No, they won't.
What'll happen?
No, they won't.
Should we go out and borrow again, is it?
No, they take half of 1% from the financial services centre would really produce somewhere north of 25 to 30 billion a year.
And then they'll say thanks for the memories and leave.
And good luck to them, because all they're doing at the moment is driving up house prices.
So where will the money come from?
But sure,
where will the money come from to run the country?
We are the money. The people are the money. All we're doing is farmed.
Yeah, but the thing is, if we
are the credit, we are the money.
If we stop paying income tax to the exchequer, how will the government fund the running of the country?
Well, what are they doing at the moment? I mean, it's costing 18 billion a year to fund the debts at the moment. 18 billion a year, that's more than the entire health service. And we're being fooled, absolutely fooled. And I mean, the minister...
I put it to you, James, what you're suggesting we do will result in absolute total chaos and anarchy.
No, it won't. Not at all. It's the very opposite. It'll bring the codology that runs this country to its common senses. There's a half of 1% of a tax on the financial services will yield north of 25 billion a year.
I am giving every candidate 1 minute to tell the world out there why they should vote for you. And your 1 minute starts from now.
We believe in solutions. I'm involved with Spirit of Erin, which is a sort of a think tank, for the want of a better term. We have a lot of solutions. I'm involved with Hemp Cooperative Ireland, which I think will produce thousands of jobs in a very short space of time. There is other issue is Agenda 21, which nobody has had any discussion about. It's about depopulation and about Wi-Fi and 5G, which must be phased down by some manner or means. Wi-Fi and 5G 5G in particular is a sterilisation programme, and I will back that up in any form, and I hope that your station, Joe, has the neck to discuss Agenda 21 in detail and 5G.
All right, that's your minute up. I wish you all the very best in the campaign. You're an independent candidate, as I said, one of 17 running in the Midlands-North-West constituency. The other candidates are, and I'm told now I have to mention the parties and whether or not they're non-party or what have you. So the other candidates in the race are Mairead McGuinness, Fine Gael, Maria Walsh, Fine Gael, Brendan Smith, Fianna Fáil, and Rabbit, Fianna Fáil, Matt Carty, Sinn Féin, Dominic Hannigan, Labour, Saoirse McHugh, the Green Party, Cyril Brennan, Solidarity, People Before Profit, Michael O'Dowd, Renua, Patrick Green, Direct Democracy Ireland, Luke Ming Flanagan, MEP, Independent, Peter Casey, Independent, Dilip Mahapatra, Independent, Fidelma Healy-Eames, Independent, Olive O'Connor, Independent, and Diarmuid Mulcahy, Independent. And as I mentioned earlier, between now and polling day, whether you like it or not, ladies and gentlemen, on this show we will be chatting to hopefully all the candidates running in this constituency.